Hey there, Dawn Monroe here. I wanted to show you today how to deal with dates, particularly doing things where you're picking out only the weekdays or the business days for what you're working on. The first thing I'll show you here is that if you have a date and you want to fill only the weekdays, you can pull down the fill handle on any date, and when you get this little options box at the bottom of a fill, you can fill only the weekdays. So this will take out your Saturday and Sunday dates and only populate the weekdays. So in this example, the 25th, 26th, that's a Saturday and Sunday. So that's one thing I wanted to share with you. I've also got a setup over here. This is something that came up when I was working with a client recently, and so I wanted to share this. If you are trying to calculate from a begin date to an end date, and how many days is that, you want to figure out how many work days. So I'm using a function in this case called NETWORKDAYS. So it is pulling only the work days. That's Monday through Friday from a beginning date to an ending date. I think this will come in very handy for a lot of you. So that's what I've done here. This is NETWORKDAYS. I'm going to go ahead and just open it up so you can see it. So equal NETWORKDAYS. Begin date is the first argument piece, and then the second is the end date. That's a simple one to get going. Now let's look at it if it's a little more complex. In this case, I have added in a few dates that are holidays. So they do fall Monday through Friday, but I'm not going to want to include those in my count of how many work days are we going to be working on said project. So in this case, I've adjusted NETWORKDAYS. It has an option that you can add in the holidays. I'm looking at the pieces of the argument down here. I'm actually going to click inside the parentheses and click the FX button so you can see. So it needs a start date and an end date. The holiday piece, notice how those two things are in bold and holidays is not bold. It's an optional piece of this particular function. So if you happen to know holidays, in this case I did, I could select that I-7 through I-9, and those are my holidays, and it takes those out of the count. And so that's what we did here for the NETWORKDAYS. I've got another setup down here. This was something that a particular client wanted. I don't know if you'll need it, but they do all their calculations based on weeks. So they have 8 weeks to work on a project. So what I ended up doing was using the WORKDAY function. And what I could do then is get an end date based on how many weeks. So let's look at that one. So it's Workday. I'm going to click inside the parentheses and pull up the function arguments. So it's going to return a serial number of the date before or after the specified number of workdays. So what that means is I'm telling it, I'm beginning here, I need this many workdays. What date is going to be the end date of this particular project? That's what I'm after. So what I've done here is I've pulled in the start date. If it's today, that's what I used there. And I did 8 weeks. In this case, my client wanted 8 weeks to figure out times 5 days. So that gives, I could have just typed in 40 days. But I was doing this setup specifically for them. Again, you could include holidays if you want to. But that's how that one works, a little differently. So I hope that these have maybe solved some of your problems. In this case, I did the same workday function, but remember, it like the network days, it also had that optional date holiday piece. And so I pulled out some dates from that one. Anywho, I hope this helped. Be sure and subscribe and watch more videos and solve those problems. Happy to help. Dawn Monroe, thank you.